This is a good one? Okay. All right. I have not seen this yet. Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt briefs members of the media February 5th. All right.
Good to see you all. President Trump is in charge and America is back. This week further demonstrated that the Trump effect is real.
The Trump effect is real.
Weekend, Americans celebrated the return of American-Israeli citizen Pete Siegel and 2 Israelis who were held captive by Hamas terrorists since October 7th, 2023.
Dude, they were held. What the fuck? Dude, they were held captive like for so long. Yo, there's no shot they didn't get tortured.
President Trump and his administration...
What the fuck, dude? They were living in caves. They were probably living in caves.
...worked diligently to secure their release in our...
Dude, can you imagine, like, you go to visit, like, over there and you get swooped up?
...committed to freeing all remaining hostages. Yesterday, as you all know, President Trump held his first foreign meeting at the White House with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And as the president said...
Do you guys remember anybody remember the episode, was it Alex Jones, where Alex Jones was dumbfounded because Kanye was there and he had a net and a Yahoo? He had like a freaking Yahoo drink and then a net, and he was going freaking psycho. And even Alex Jones was like, yo. Even Alex Jones was like, Alex Jones was like, yo, we need to take this temperature down a bit.
The bonds of friendship.
Oh my God, I watched that, dude. I watched that thing. Holy shit, dude. He went fucking crazy.
The American and Israeli people have endured for generations.
Yeah, he creeped out Alex Jones.
Absolutely unbreakable.
I think Kanye has like, dude, I think he has like some mental problems. Like actually, I think he's got something. He needs help, man.
President is committed to eliminating Hamas.
Yeah, bipolar. Yeah, that makes sense.
A lasting peace for the entire region. The historic proposal for the United States to take over Gaza, announced by President...
What?
The historic proposal for the United States to take over Gaza, announced by President Trump last night, underscores this commitment. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
I was about to say that I feel mixed about that. I have mixed feelings about this. I have very mixed feelings about this. So on one hand, has anything worked? Has Israel been able to make anything work? Obviously not. Does something need to be done? Obviously, because they keep shooting each other. Is this a thing that like could possibly... I'd only trust Trump with it. Trump is the only one I would even give a remote chance. Like if this was literally anyone else, like if this was like Bush, absolutely not. If this was Obama, no. If this was Biden, no. Like Trump is like the only person that I think has a shot of this working. Like he knows a lot about business and development. Like maybe he could get it done. But the reason I feel a little mixed on it is like, dude, we're gonna give more money to people. But I guess we're already giving money. Unfortunately, could this solve it? I mean, he did bring a lot of people to the table in terms of like peace treaty, like during the Abraham Accords thing. Could he possibly?
USAID gave over $200,000 to feminist frequency. U.S. taxpayers' money went to Anita Sarkeesian.
It is a bold plan.
Politico millions
millions a year to promote diversity and smear Gamergate. Yeah, yeah. The land is... It's like water. There's like water there, right? Like Gaza has water. Like a connection. Like has a water... Like what do you call it? Waterfront. So it's like...
They are looking to get funding via the Arab states around Israel. So if that goes through, it won't cost us anything.
So like, what's the idea? What's the angle? I guess we should watch more of the video, but like we will. Hold on, let me just speculate. So what's like the idea is that they're gonna make an economic project? Like I guess like one of those. Here's the thing: is Israel claims that they don't even. This is what they claim, right? They claim they don't even care about Gaza anyway. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be really interesting because, guys, I'm not an expert on this region and like the conflict. I know kind of very surface level, like I know it on a very surface level. Correct me if I'm wrong. Israel claims that they don't even want that territory. They're like, fuck it. Like, we don't even want to deal with it, right? So like, what if Trump does fix it? Then are they gonna want it? That would piss me off a lot, by the way. Is if like we actually go in there and we actually like, help people out. Because I think that's ideal. I mean, let's be real. Like, I'm kind of like utilitarian on this. Like, I want there to be less bombs being shot at Israel and like less like civilian attacks on Israel. but I also don't want the Palestinian people to be completely fucked. I'm like kind of like, obviously there's like some bad actors that like have control of like the Gaza area because, you know, they launched the freaking terror. I mean, why do people forget about this? Like, why do people like act like this didn't happen? They launched a terror attack where they killed a bunch of civilians. That's what started like, well, it didn't start like the whole thing, but it started like the latest leg of the drama. They sent a bunch of people over and they just shot random people. And obviously, if you're Israel, like, you know, whatever you think of Israel, obviously they have to respond to it. They can't just be like, well, you killed a bunch of our civilians. Cool. They can't do that, obviously. I mean, do you remember what happened when they did that to us? Anyone remember when that happened to the US? We fucking blew everyone up. Okay, so let's not pretend that like they should just like be like, you know, whatever. They killed a bunch of people. Like, whatever. Like, no, right? Obviously, they have to do something. That being said, you know, obviously there's a lot of civilians, and the civilians are a lot of the times they're being used as shields to, you know, obviously we don't want to
turn that forsaken spit of land into an American territory and a paragon of freedom and prosperity and watch everyone around cope.
That's what I'm thinking.
And you're right to be suspicious of Israel.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I'm kind of on the same page as you, Sentinel. What I'm thinking is, okay, so obviously we don't want that. I don't like civilian death regardless of like what side it is, right? And obviously the terrorist organizations
hasn't worked in US recent history.
It hasn't, but we haven't had Trump. But what's the alternative? I mean, I guess the alternative is we leave them alone, but we're not even doing that now. The world isn't doing that. Because if Israel wanted to, I mean, let's be real. If Israel wanted to, they could fucking carpet bomb the shit out of that entire place and just blow it up and level it. If they wanted to. They could do it. They have the means to do it. They could do it. It's basically like the rest of the world being like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be bad. And then Israel doesn't want that, you know, at least appearances wise, at least what it seems to me is they at least want to keep up appearances and not do that. Like, you know, they're very careful with like the bomb. They do like the one bomb that doesn't actually blow anything. They do the one bomb first to be like, we're about to blow this place up. You better get out of there. And then they shoot the real bomb. They do all sorts of shit like that because they're trying not to, you know, there's a lot of international pressure and stuff like that to like not, you know, I'm not gonna lie. If it was America, we'd probably just fucking raise the place. Let's be real. If it was America, we'd probably go in there and just fucking, you know, we go in there guns blazing and just like fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm trying to say is they're using the civilians as human shields. Obviously, that's bad. But we also don't want to hurt the civilians. So, like, is there like a way that like we can do it? Because the way it's going right now isn't working. So is it possible for Trump to do it? And I don't know, pull like an economic zone or something like that, like to, you know, make things better for everyone, make things better for the Palestinian people. Like, that'd be kind of poggers, honestly. Like, if like we actually did do that, like clean up all the terrorist stuff and then like made it so it was like just kind of made the area better, like it'd be kind of cool. But I guess my worry is that then Israel's gonna be like, yeah, just kidding, actually we want the place. I'd be like, dude, fuck off, right? If that happens. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's hard to say because we don't know the plan. We don't know like what the ideas are. At least, well, I guess maybe we'll find out in the press conference, but like I think it's an interesting idea.
President Trump is an outside of the box thinker and a visionary leader who solves problems that many others, especially in this city.
I mean, let's be real. Trump has already done a lot of crazy shit that people like did not expect. He's pulled off a lot of shit that you were like, I don't think he can pull that off, and he did it.
Claim are unsolvable. We've already seen the results from...
I'm glazing Trump. I mean, he said he was gonna fucking... I mean, USAID got targeted for one day and it's fucking gone. I don't have to glaze anything.
President
her. Okay.
Bold peace through strength diplomacy on the world.
I mean, it's her job. It's her job to glaze Trump because she's like the press secretary. Dude, can you imagine like having to glaze Biden? Dude, I do not. Can you imagine like being like the previous press secretaries having to glaze Biden? Dude.
Stage. In response to President Trump's tariffs this week, both Mexico and Canada took immediate steps to alleviate the illegal alien migration and flow of deadly drugs, particularly into our country. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum agreed to permanently supply 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the U.S. border who will be specifically designated to stopping fentanyl and criminal aliens from pouring into our country.
Trump has a very interesting strat. Trump's strat is like someone says like he wants something, he asks for 10 times the amount. I want 1x of this, but you know what? 10x. 10x right now, or we blow you the fuck up. And then they're like, okay, we'll give you 5x. And he's like, okay, good.
Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau
he gets away with getting like so much more by asking for like literally the moon. He asks for the moon, the stars, and the solar system, and then they give him like halfway. They give him like triple what he wants, basically.
To appoint a fentanyl czar.
His tactic is just like complete shock and awe.
Cartels as terrorists, and increased resources to assist the 10,000 frontline personnel at our northern border with Canada. In recognition of these steps, President Trump paused the implementation of tariffs for 1 month while negotiations continue and final deals can be structured.
I mean, it worked, right? Like he went fucking crazy on like, remember the Colombia thing? He went crazy on Colombia, and they insta-folded. They insta-folded. He got more than what he wanted. I should read The Art of the Deal. I've never read it. I should read it.
Throughout the transition and during his inaugural address,
President
Trump made it known that the United States cannot and will not allow the Chinese Communist Party to continue with its effective and growing control over the Panama Canal. Following Secretary Rubio's successful first trip and visit there over the weekend, Panama's president said he will allow.
I don't think Trump actually wants to take over the Panama Canal. I don't think that's his angle. I think he's just saying that just to get like a again, it's like I said, trying to shoot for the moon and then settling for orbit when like he actually just wants to build a rocket underground. He's overshooting to get more than what he actually wants.
Its participation.
Canada is looking for someone to fill the role of fentanyl czar. Wait, is this real? No shot. That's a real coupon code. It's a real coupon code. Mari _EN was not lying about the fent.
In the Chinese Communist Party's, it will no longer allow the participation in the Belt and Road Initiative. That participation will expire. This is significant because Panama was the first Latin American nation to join Belt and Road and now becomes the first to back away from it because of President Trump. And to assist with the ongoing mass deportation effort, El Salvador's president has agreed to the most unprecedented migratory agreement anywhere in the world. Because President Trump is back in charge, El Salvador has offered for illegal aliens of any nationality facing deportation in the U.S. to be booked in his country's prison system. And finally, President Trump's envoy for special missions, Rick Grenell, traveled to Venezuela and not only secured the release of 6 American hostages, but Venezuela also agreed to accept the return of illegal alien Tren de Aragua gang members. All of these incredible victories prove how well President Trump's peace through strength approach is working. And the days of weak American leadership are over. In another success story this week, efforts to seal the border, halt the invasion, and carry out the largest mass deportation campaign continue at lightning speed.
What the hell just happened?
Customs and Border Protection campaign this week, efforts to at lightning speed. The invasion.
Did the screens crash? Or is it showing something like
and carry out the largest mass deportation campaign continue at lightning speed?
Who put it on light mode?
Customs and Border Protection has approximately 79 miles of new border wall projects already underway in various stages of construction and planning. The first flights arrived to Guantanamo Bay yesterday afternoon out of El Paso. And who were some of the passengers aboard, you may ask? There were 10 members of the transnational gang Tren de Aragua on this flight. And overall, our heroic ICE agents continue to prioritize the removal of violent, criminal, illegal aliens in communities across the country.
What do you mean? I see everyone saying that like we're not treating the prisoners well. Dude, this guy's getting a freaking massage right here in the picture. The soldiers giving him a massage. What are you talking about?
February 3rd, ICE Dallas arrested a citizen of Nicaragua who has been convicted of sexual assault, strong arm, and lewd acts with a minor and sentenced to 15 years. Of sexual assault, strong arm, and lewd acts with a minor and sentenced to 15 years in prison.
Just 15?
ICE Los Angeles arrested a Mexican citizen who has been convicted of lewd acts with minor.
What is with these people? What the fuck?
With a minor and sentenced to 364 days. And ICE Atlanta arrested a citizen of Mexico who has been convicted of homicide by vehicle and hit and run and sentenced to 6 months confinement. And ICE New York arrested a Venezuelan national and known TDA gang member who has a prior criminal conviction for assault in the 3rd degree causing physical injury. Americans are safer every single time one of these criminals is arrested and deported from our country. On another important and ongoing topic.
This is a little complicated. This is a little complicated, but I wanted to talk about it a bit. So like one thing is, I understand not wanting to spend money on them because like, you know, they're not even here illegally. They're not our citizens. But like, you know what I'm worried about? I'm worried about like, do you guys know the case about the cannibal guy from Japan? Anybody know about that? There was a guy from Japan that went to France. He went to France. He shot a woman and ate her. The French people didn't want to pay for him being in jail, so they deported him to Japan, and Japan just let him go. So he was free. Like literally, he got to Japan, and then they just let him out. I'm worried that the same thing's gonna happen here. He made porn too. So like he killed a woman in France, ate her. And then when he was tried in France, they deemed him insane. So they locked him up in like mental asylum and stuff like that, or whatever the equivalent is in France. And the French people got really mad. They were like, I don't want to pay for this foreigner like here, and like, you know, I don't want to pay for his psych care. They sent him back to Japan, and he gets there in Japan, and they're like, okay, we're gonna run a psychological evaluation of you, right? So Japan does a psych evaluation of him. They're like, wait a minute, you're not crazy, you're just an asshole, so I guess we can't keep you in psych. And they let him out because he's not insane, he's just an asshole, right? So then they he didn't have any charges, so like what were they gonna do, right? So they just let him out. And I'm kind of worried about the same thing happening. It's like we let these people back, because you know, obviously we don't want to pay for them being in jail and paying for feeding them and stuff like that, but what, we deport them to like whatever country, and then like now they're back out. And you could say like maybe they're their problem now, not our problem. They didn't pay for their crimes, one, which justice does demand, and two, what if they come back? So I mean, I don't know, that's how I feel about it. It's a little complicated, I think.
The Senate is working fast to confirm President Trump's exceptional cabinet nominees in the face of relentless media smear campaigns. As of right now, 12 members of the president's cabinet have been confirmed, most recently Pam Bondi, who, as you all know, I was just in the Oval Office for that swearing-in ceremony surrounded by Pam's lovely family, and we look forward to watching her serve as the Attorney General of the United States. According to CNN, President Trump is getting more cabinet picks confirmed so far than the average president in the modern era. Another success. And we believe it's critical that Republicans in the Senate majority stay tough and keep their foot on the gas to confirm all of the remaining nominees as quickly as possible so we can continue President Trump.
Dude, that would be so metal though. Execution by shark pit. Like you just had like a tank full of sharks. That would be fucking crazy.
Trump's important work here at the White House and across our entire federal government. And lastly, throughout his historic campaign, President Trump pledged to restore common sense to our country. And he is continuing to deliver on that with an executive order that he will sign later today. The president will be signing an executive order keeping men out of women's sports to defend the safety of athletes, protect competitive integrity, and uphold the promise of Title IX.
That's a very spicy one. Haven't people gotten banned on Twitch for their take on this? I think I'll refrain.
Common sense action from President Trump ends the disgusting betrayal of women.
I think I'll refrain. You know why?
And girls by the previous administration, who for years catered to radical activists who wanted biological males to be treated as women in workplace showers, competitive sports, prisons, and even rape shelters. Gender, ideology, insanity.
The bald one is still safe, yeah, but the bald one gets freaking 500,000 views on his videos, and he probably makes a ton of money. He has a lot of power. So for instance, if they were to nuke me, I have no power. Barely anyone would stand up for me, to be honest. Like most people wouldn't care. So that's just the truth. I'm not trying to cry. I'm just being realistic.
Is over. Submissions from individuals across the country interested in participating in our new media.
Guys, I'm small fish.
Seat at a future briefing continue to flood in. We are at more than 12,000.
How can you be banned for discussing current politics? I don't know. You tell me. I don't know who it was exactly. I have heard that people have gotten banned permanently for their take on this specific issue.
If you're watching right now and are interested, you can continue to apply on our new media website, White House.
Destiny got his perma from it, but didn't he say something else? I think Destiny said something else though.
.gov/new media. And in the seat today, we have a longtime national television broadcaster. Sure.
It wasn't this. He deserved the ban, not gonna lie. Okay, so I'm gonna give you my take on this. I'm gonna be very broad and very non-specific, so I don't get in trouble. I'm not worried about backlash as in like people hating on me for my take. I'm worried about being deplatformed. Okay, so if you're gonna say like, oh, Leaflet's a fucking pussy, like Leaflet's not saying what is the point of getting myself nuked and and then I no longer can like say what I want at all? Let me give you my take on it, okay? We live in a society and there are biological facts. There is insurmountable levels. There are insurmountable physical advantages. Like they're on a level that is ridiculous. Like it's not like it's close. It's not like women are like 1% like less, have 1% less strength, less physical, less capability of projecting physical force. It's not like 1%. It's like a lot. It's like nearly insurmountable. Of course, are there going to be soy boys that are like turbo weak and girls that are turbo strong? Yes, there's going to be like a certain overlap, but it is not that big. If you're talking straight averages, like if you took like the average, you would have to go like extreme on both sides. You have to go like extremely strong woman against extremely weak man in order for it to even have an intersection. So it's going to be like if you're talking straight averages, it's like not even close. So with that in mind, I think there are societal, again, we live in a society. There are certain aspects of society in which people who are outside of the norm, and again, I'm not talking about just trans people. I'm talking about people in general. There are people in general that are outside of the norm, whether that's you like to dress like a dog or, you like to wear anime masks or you like to dress like a goth. Like there's lots of things involved here, right? Or, whatever else you're interested in, where we have a kind of societal contract with each other we should at least have a societal idea of not really affecting society as a whole. Again, when are outside of the norm, right? And I'm not saying that being outside of the norm is bad. I am outside of the norm, right? That being said, we have to be aware of like what the norm is. I think people do these kinds of things have to understand that the impact that they have on everyday people. So again, going back to the thing about how women are far weaker, biologically, right? I think there has to be a sort of understanding that there are unfair advantages that could be had there. Ignoring this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's not really caring about others, and it's mostly caring about yourself because there's clearly like crazy advantages to be had there on the average. And again, is it possible for like a really strong woman to like beat somebody? It has those biological advantages, but is it gonna be something that happens? Is there an impact from it? Obviously, we've seen it. Like you can see it with your own eyes. Like if you look at it, you can see that there's an advantage, just very obviously. And that's my take on it, is that people, I'm not, again, you guys know how I feel about that whole thing. I think that all people, people should be respected. If people want to, if people want to live outside the norm, they should have the freedom to do that as long as it doesn't affect, people. And it's like they should also in turn for the as people who are more of the norm give space for people that aren't of the norm, so should people who are not of the norm understand that they shouldn't impact the norm as much. Does that make sense? It's about mutual respect. That's my take on it. I know like a lot of people won't like that. People will be like, they just don't like people that are not of the norm. Obviously, there's people that don't like that. I get that. Yeah, I think the respect should go both ways. It's not a one-sided street. That's how I feel about it.
Many of you recognized her when she came in, Sage Steele, who is now the host of an incredibly successful podcast, The Sage Steele Show, on YouTube and all podcast platforms. And previously, Sage was a fixture at ESPN from 2007 to 2023, primarily hosting SportsCenter, which we all know well, before leaving the company to exercise her First Amendment rights more freely. We are honored to welcome her to the briefing room today.
Gregory says the advantage that you're talking about does diminish or disappear. So hold on. So that might be the case, and maybe we can make a determination there based on real science. I would be okay with that. Making a determination based on science, and like maybe we can measure some kind of strength level, maybe have a little bit of research into that. Can we admit in the last couple of years, there have been a lot of people are participating in these competitions for a population that is a small percentage of the human population, there is a large amount of them winning in these sports. I will not be gaslit into like not seeing that, basically.
She will be joining.
Data doesn't really match, is what I'm trying to say. It's very obvious that there's something going on.
At the big EO signing later this afternoon. I know many of you will be there as well. So Sage, why don't you kick us off on this very...
So like, let me give you an example of what I would be okay with, okay? Let's say, let's create a meta world here so you can kind of understand my point of view. Say there's a world in which you could switch bodies. Say like we just create like a female body and then we implant a person from, we implant a biologically male person into a female body. I would be 100% okay with them being in the sports then, because then it would be like the same. But we don't live in that reality. So then now we have to consider other things, right? We have to consider other things of fairness, right? And that the technology is not to that point where it's not to that point where the advantages are not completely gone. You see what I mean? Yeah, obviously yet. But like, that's my point of view, is like speaking strictly from a fairness point of view, it doesn't make any sense. Current modern day. And I'm saying like, if those conditions were fulfilled in which we could do that and make it fair, then I would be okay with it. But there are some sports that I think are probably more closer, like something like I think guys still do have an advantage in like esports. Honestly, I think they do. You could maybe just make a argument for just co-ed esports. So like if you're a trans person and you want to like participate in like esports, I don't see a problem with that. I don't think there should be like girls only esports. I don't think the community is big enough, and I think that the biological edge is not like too high in esports. I still think there is a biological edge. I just don't think it's insurmountable. Sorry, I don't think it's insurmountable. Maybe shooting sports too. Yeah. Things like that. Yeah. There are some sports that you could participate in. Like I don't think people would have a problem with that. If there was like a trans person in esports, I don't think anyone would have a problem with that, really. Because again, the biological edge is not insurmountable. It's an issue of the degree of advantage. I don't know. I think it's a very moderate take. I'm not like full on like get the fuck out of here, like never ever. I'm not like that, but I'm also like, can we agree that like what I'm seeing with my eyes, the advantages are like real? Can we like stop pretending like that there's no like male advantage in biological force projection? Like can we stop daydreaming? Like can we talk about, the actual facts of biology? That's it. That's my whole take.
Exciting day for women and girls across the country. Thank you for joining us.
No, you pick it. No.
People like me with a little bit of a different perspective, different background in this seat. It really does mean a lot.
Have you already covered the FBSU and the U.S. government to remain anonymous? I haven't yet. No, I don't know where that is.
Step for women and girls. So far, the Senate, as we know, has not brought it up to vote. We all know executive orders can be overturned. So I'm wondering how important it is to the president.
King Hapa says, aren't there plenty of women that are top 500 in the Marvel rivals? Yeah, I don't think it's insurmountable. I think there is like a bit of a difference. So I've heard in terms of there's people have been saying things like there's a physical like reaction time differences and stuff like that. But I think there might be some other advantages that maybe women do have as well. Like there might be some advantages that women do have. I know you want to know a game I can tell you that women do have an advantage in? 100% MMOs, man. 100% MMOs. I'll show you guys. This is how you do it. If you're a woman, you want an advantage in MMOs, let me help you out, okay? It goes like this. Hello, I'm a girl. I just started playing this game. Can anyone help me with this quest? Oh, that's a really nice like outfit. Where'd you get that from? Oh, it's 1,000 gold. Oh, I wish I had 1,000 gold. Oh, you're gonna give me 1,000 gold. Thank you. That's so nice of you. You're such a sweetheart.
Get Congress to bring this to pass legislation.
Thank you for the subs. Thank you, Theana. Thank you.
So there are no instances of past administration that really tried to destroy Title IX.
Just kidding. That one gives me rage. You know it's real, though, guys. You know it's real.
Really important that Congress immediately acts on this priority. I think the president is really setting the tone, making this a very immediate priority for this administration, just as he promised to do on the campaign trail. And I'd like to get into the executive order a little bit.
Thanks for the follow, Torben Crusader.
At the White House, and
How
talk about what this executive
Thank you for the bits. Thank you.
action will actually do. So the executive order that the president will be signing later this afternoon, as I said, upholds the promise of Title IX. It also will require the DOJ to abide.
Wait, Bamboo69 says I said no to a girl in the Emma once and got kicked out of the guild. Holy fuck, bro.
By the nationwide
Oh my God.
Previous administration's illegal Title IX rewrite that would have dissolved single-sex spaces and opportunities.
Sorry, let me back up a bit. I got confused.
Bring this to pass legislation. So there are no instances like the past administration that really tried to destroy Title IX.
It's incredibly important that Congress immediately acts on this priority. I think the president is really setting the tone, making this a very immediate priority for this administration, just as he promised to do on the campaign trail. And I'd like to get into the executive order a little bit because it is the news of the day here at the White House, and talk about what this executive action will actually do. So the executive order that the president will be signing later this afternoon, as I said, upholds the promise of Title IX. It also will require the DOJ to abide by the nationwide previous administration's illegal Title IX rewrite that would have dissolved single-sex spaces and opportunities. It also requires immediate action, including enforcement actions against schools and athletic associations comprised of schools that deny women single-sex sports in single-sex locker rooms. The executive order also calls for the convening of private sporting bodies in the White House. We want them to come to this campus so the president can hear in person the stories of female athletes who have suffered lifelong injuries, who have been silenced and forced to shower with men and compete with men on athletic fields across the country.
Is that a thing that's like actually happening? I don't really know. Like, is there like cases of like women showering in like a changing room and there's just like a person in there with like their dick hanging out? Is it like a thing? That's a little wild. That's a little wild, I'd say. I feel like if that's the case and you're, let's say that you're not even competing sports wise, but you're trans and you want to like, I don't know, you want to like be a part of the girls team, but you're not like doing it competitively. I feel like you should just have like the courtesy to be like, I'm not going to shower with a dick hanging out with the other girls. Why not just wait or go like wait or something, or I don't know.
Many of those women will be at the White House today. I encourage all of you in the media to actually talk to them, to hear their stories. And I would also just add one more.
I don't think I'm being like really like radical either. Like, I just think that it's just kind of courtesy. I don't know.
This is a wildly popular position with the American people. In fact, there was a new poll recently that showed the overwhelming majority of Democrats also support keeping biological men out of women's sports. And so I know the president is very excited about the bill signing that will take place at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
To be honest, I always find it weird that people share showers and locker rooms in the first place. Don't they have every time like I went to the gym, there was like a private like stall thing. And if you needed to take a shower there, you just did like why don't they just do those? Why don't they just have those and then like no one has a problem? Then nobody has to see anyone. That's my ideal. I don't want to see anyone.
We'll hear from him more on that later, and we look forward to seeing you there, Sage. So thank you very, very much. Garrett, great to see you here today.
Thank you. On Gaza, the president has spent basically his entire public career criticizing foreign entanglements, nation building, sending American troops to fight abroad, particularly in the Middle East. This plan seems like it could ultimately involve all of those things. Can you explain this reversal and how building and owning Gaza squares with America First foreign policy?
I would reject the premise of your question that this forces the United States to be entangled in conflicts abroad. The president has not committed to putting boots on the ground in Gaza. He has also said that the United States is not going to pay for the rebuilding of Gaza. His administration is going to work with our partners in the region to reconstruct this region.
Thank you for the follow-up.
Let me just take a step back here, because this is an out-of-the-box idea. That's who President Trump is. That's why the American people elected him. And his goal is lasting peace in the Middle East for all people in the region. And as I said in my opening remarks, we've had the same people pushing the same solutions to this problem for decades. And it's been made very clear to the president that the United States needs to be involved in this rebuilding effort to ensure stability in the region for all people. But that does not mean boots on the ground in Gaza. It does not mean American taxpayers will be funding this effort. It means Donald Trump, who is the best deal maker on the planet, is going to strike a deal with our partners in the region.
Because he did not rule out American troops in Gaza last night. Are you doing that now?
I am saying that the president has not committed to that just yet. He has not made that commitment, and you know that.
And on the foreign partners, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Saudis have already panned this plan. What foreign partners, if any, have expressed any interest in being part of it?
Well, the president has said he's been socialing this idea for quite some time. He's been thinking about.
Well, also, obviously, even if they're against it, I mean, there are many cases in which people were against stuff that Trump wanted to do. And then Trump basically dropped the bomb on them, and they were like, oh, just kidding. Yeah, we're on board. So it's like, we've seen this so many times, obviously.
About this, he said in his remarks last night, this was not a decision or an announcement that.
I work in medical with 50K in my city, almost 5K. Wait, what? There's 58,000 people in your city and 5,000 are trans? That sounds crazy fucking high. Well, there is one problem too. And I think there's a case too where the idea of what that means has been conflated with other things. Like, for instance, and you know, I'm not gonna go into that, but it has been conflated with other things of people that are not necessarily doing it for the right reasons, any true reasons, that there are some people with malicious intent using the plight of other people for their own strategic, degenerate advantage. And a lot of my trans friends say the same thing, that these people are using their degeneracy at our expense. So again, not just my words, that's what my trans friends have said. So if you want to say that I'm transphobic for that, I guess my trans friends are also transphobic. Bitch.
He takes lightly, and the president has already spoken to the president al-Sisi. In fact, that was his first foreign leader call. He's meeting with the King of Jordan, King Abdullah, next week. He spoke with the King of Bahrain. He spoke with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and he has made it very clear, he's been very vocal, that he expects our partners in the region, particularly Egypt and Jordan, to accept Palestinian refugees temporarily so that we can rebuild their home. I'd like to show you some images of Gaza that were taken. Fox News aired this. I mean, that is, as they put it, in an apocalyptic scene in Gaza. This is an uninhabitable place for human beings. Do you really think that families can live their dream in a region that looks like this with
holy fuck.
No running water, no electricity. And the special envoy to the president, Steve Witkoff, recently traveled to Gaza, as you all know. And he came back with images that he showed the president of the dire situation here. And the president made this decision with a humanitarian heart for all people in the region.
Yeah.
Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. Are any officials here preparing to fight Democratic lawmakers in the streets?
Absolutely not.
Wait, what? What? Wait, what?
Region.
What?
Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. Are any officials here?
I think somebody a big lineman says trans gatekeeping. I think there needs to be more gatekeeping in every community. I think every community fucked up by not gatekeeping. Every single community.
Preparing to fight Democratic lawmakers in the streets?
Absolutely not. And thanks for the question.
Some elected Democrats are so steamed about Doge. Congresswoman LaMonica McIver says we are at war. Ilhan Omar says we might actually see somebody get killed. And Chris Van Hollen says we have to fight this in the Congress.
Didn't Trump almost get shot? Also, now they want to turn it down. I see. Sure.
That's treasonous insurrectionist
I'm sure you're so worried. You're so worried about, so worried about the temperature being so high Right, so worried of the Nazis and the fascists.
So what now?
And may I just point out, if you've
Thanks for the
heard
bits,
that
Keegan.
type
Thank
of
you.
violent, enticing rhetoric from our side of the aisle, from Republican leaders on Capitol Hill, I think there would be a lot more outrage in this room today. It's unacceptable, the comments that have been made by these Democrat leaders, and frankly, they don't even know what they're talking.
Isn't that the guy that used to troll the Biden? The guy who's talking right now, the reporter, isn't he the one that trolled Biden like all year? like the last like 4 years? Wasn't that him?
Because President Trump was elected with a mandate from the American people to make this government more efficient. He campaigned across this country with Elon Musk, vowing that Elon was going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, and the two of them, with a great team around them, were going to look at the receipts of this federal government and ensure it's accountable to American taxpayers. That's all that is happening here. And for Democrat officials to incite violence and encourage Americans to take to the streets is incredibly alarming, and they should be held accountable for that rhetoric.
They won't be.
It sounds like something that they're most concerned about is Doge engineers with access to.
Yo, he's looking at his dick.
It sounds like something that they're
No, the guy's looking at his dick.
most concerned about is Doge engineers with access to Treasury.
He's
systems. Can you clarify?
jealous. He's jealous.
Do the Doge engineers have read-only access?
Grubby says, I think it's his notes. No, it's his dick. Don't ruin this for me. Thanks for the follow,
in these
Sleeping
systems?
Forest.
So they are not allowed to write new
No.
code. They are not. Okay.
No.
And then one more thing. NBC is reporting that some of the illegal immigrants that we
Wait, look at this expression. Guys, look.
And then one more thing. NBC is reporting that some of the illegal
Look.
immigrants.
I was right. He's like, damn, nice dick. Look.
And then one more thing. NBC is reporting that some of the illegal immigrants that we've seen rounded up and arrested are not being deported. They're being released with ankle or wrist monitoring devices, or they have to check in on the phone. So is the administration arresting more people?
Dude, he's giving him like the what? Look at this. He's giving him like the once over.
So
He's giving the full body
administration
treatment.
Arresting more people.
Holy
than they have
shit.
room for.
I have seen the reports, and I'm glad you brought it up because we want to address it. There have been a total of 461 illegal aliens. This is of this morning when I got this information from DHS that have been released from custody. Of the more than 8,000 that have been arrested since President Trump was inaugurated, it's less than 6%. And there are reasons for their release. Some of the factors include a lack of significant likelihood of removal in the foreseeable future, lack of detention availability, which is something this president and this administration has been incredibly vocal about. We are doing everything we can to deport and detain illegal immigrants, but we need Congress's help to increase funding for Border Patrol and for ICE to increase detention capability in our facilities. And then other serious medical conditions have also been the reasons for some.
I can't believe how seriously like Trump is taking the border. Like it's gone from like zero enforcement to like ramping up insanely fast. The acceleration is crazy. I'm all for it.
The release of these individuals, but none of them have final deportation orders. Many of them are probably contesting their immigration status. I'd refer you to DHS for more details, but I did get that information because I knew it'd be a question, so thank you. Yes.
The president and you here again today have made clear, given the devastation, you think Palestinians have no choice but to leave Gaza and go elsewhere. But Palestinians say this is their home. They don't want to go. The president last night said he's willing to use the military if necessary. Is the U.S. prepared to remove Palestinians from Gaza by force?
The president is prepared to rebuild Gaza for Palestinians and all people in the region, peace-loving people who want real economic development and opportunity in the region. This is a region that has been controlled by Iranian-backed terrorists, Hamas, who have brutalized not just Israelis but Palestinians too.
True.
It is because of Hamas that you see those images on that screen, that Gaza has become a demolition site because Hamas launched that brutal attack on Israel on October the 7th. And so again, I would stress, President Trump wants to ensure that this can be a place where all people can live in peace.
I mean, that sounds good. I mean, like if we can get that, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's possible, but, you know, obviously, like, I want the people of Gaza to also have good lives. If this is what it takes, I mean, what the status quo isn't working, obviously. Obviously, what we have right now and, like, the methods that we're using right now don't work. So there has to be, like, some, you know, maybe Trump can be that guy because he always has methods outside of the box. So, like, maybe.
a peacemaker.
I hope so. I hope so. I want it to work. I really do.
He made that very clear in his first term. And as for how that will be accomplished, the president and his team are talking with our allies in the region to consider next steps.
But should the American people be prepared to see U.S. military on the ground fighting a ground war against Hamas?
Again, the president has not committed to U.S. troops in the region.
But it is an option.
I have said that the president has not committed to that yet.
Let me just follow up on that, though. Why not rule out?
The problem with that area, though, is like it's not just like, can you imagine like imagine if you're like a citizen in the area and you don't actually like Hamas? You literally can't say that. Like, you can't really stand up against them because they'll just fucking kill you and like your family. Like, that's the kind of world that they live in. Even if they did not want them, they can't say that.
The idea of committing U.S. troops. This has been a long-standing argument that the president has made really over the last.
I don't mean like the Palestinian like I'm talking about like if you had terrorists living in your area, forcing certain beliefs on you, like what's your alternative, Julio? Are you telling me that they're just doing that on purpose then? What's your angle? If you disagree with what I'm saying, what's the alternative? The alternative is they want terror attacks? What I'm saying is if you were living, there's a lot of civilians, living in Gaza, correct? So what I'm saying is that I think that the people that are living there, and again, this is just what I think, is that there's people that live there. And then if you're living under a terrorist organization that is willing to kill people who don't believe what they do, that you can't just speak out against them because they have a ton of guns and they're willing to kill you. They're willing to kill civilians. If they're willing to put their bases underneath a school, do you think that they don't care about killing civilians? You're being way too generous to the people there, possibly. But what's the alternative? They're not living under them. You can speak to them. Okay, so what you're telling me then is that they're just cool with it. What's the alternative, Julio? It's either one or the other. It's either they're rising up or they can't rise up or they're okay with it. So which one is it? Either they approve of the terrorism or they're being oppressed. Which one is it? Because either one is bad and you can't let either of them go.
Or so.
Hamas doesn't rule the area, so what? So what you're saying is that all of the military, like all of the rockets and stuff like that they're shooting into Israel are not real? Or what? What is it? Or are you telling me that the people that live there are just like okay with it? Like the military command bunkers and stuff that are underneath schools and hospitals and the rockets that they shoot. And the paratroopers that came from there.
Israelis found foreign sex slaves in the homes of non-Hamas Palestinians. They're just as bad as your average Hamas member.
So what, has the last 3 years not happened? What are you talking about? They take over some parts like any other terrorist organizations or mafia in the world. Okay, Julio, if they take over, let's say they took over a district in a city, and they control it. Is it not bad that a terrorist organization has enough power to control an entire district? Yeah. So you have to do something about it, right? What would you do about it? What would you do about it, Julio? What's your solution? No, in general. What's your solution in general? Boots on the ground? So again, we go back to what I said. Even if it's a smaller portion, okay? Hamas controls a small portion of an area of a city. Either the people there can't stand up against them, either that's true, or they're okay with it. Which one is it?
About endless wars and not something the U.S. Why not rule out?
Because I think the president is very good when he's making deals and negotiating not to rule out anything because he wants to preserve that leverage in negotiations. And so I think that's what he's doing here.
If I can follow up on that, though, he also said that everyone loves this plan. He said that in the Oval Office this morning.
True.
In fact, the Deputy Prime Minister of Jordan called it a declaration of war on the Arab people. So how does he square the fact that even some Republicans on the Hill are objecting to this or questioning this? How does he square the fact saying everyone loves this plan?
Well, King Abdullah of Jordan will be here next week, so I can provide you.
Basically, no matter what, the situation there is not good. So therefore, some change would be good. Obviously, what's happening right now, the status quo, is not solving anything.
More context on the conversations he will have directly with the President of the United States after that meeting. And I would just point
either the Palestinian people are hostages to the whole thing, or they're okay with it.
Point out that there's been a lot of leaders and officials all around the world who have doubted, I suppose, the deal-making ability of President Trump. You heard the Panama.
I guarantee you, if Mexico had people in there launching rockets at us, we would have invaded Mexico so long ago. Like, let's not pretend that like we wouldn't have been, oh yeah, a Mexican sovereign territory. Dude, we would have been fucking in there. We would have cleaned them out tomorrow. It would have been done in 24 hours.
A leader saying that he would not agree to some of the concessions that he has now made because of Secretary Rubio's visit.
You think anyone would give a fuck?
You had the Colombian president saying he wouldn't accept flights of Colombian illegal nationals who have entered into our country illegally, and those flights are underway. So actions speak louder than words.
Caroline, you said the president has been working on this idea for a while behind the scenes.
And again, I'm not even saying like, guys, I don't want you to misunderstand me. I'm not saying, don't misclip me. I am not saying fuck them, blow them up. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I would like a solution in which the citizens can prosper and maybe they end up liking us. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we can make everyone prosper. That would be great. And don't you dare fucking try to take it from us after Israel. I'll bite you in the face.
Is there a written plan?
I almost said I was going to bite something else, and then I realized that was probably a bad thing to say, so I didn't say
if
it.
American boots have to be in Gaza and American blood is spilt liberating Gaza,
Never mind.
We are going to be paying in blood.
I almost accidentally said I was going to bite something. What is the part on your face that is the easiest to bite off? I was going to say that. I stopped myself from saying that because I understand that some people would take that out of context, okay? Good.
President's proposal for Gaza, and if so, when was it drafted and who had a hand in that?
The plan was written in the
I wasn't even gonna mean it in that way.
President's remarks last night as he revealed it to the world and to the American people, and his team are continuing to be engaged on this effort. I saw the National Security Advisor this morning. He has a very busy day of calls, and they will again continue to engage with our partners. That includes Steve Witkoff as well. Mary.
Two questions for you on the news of the day. So how is today's executive order going to impact the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles? For example, would a man who thinks that he's a transgender woman be allowed to compete as a female on U.S. soil?
It's a very good question, and the president has actually mentioned this, that he does expect the Olympic Committee and the NCAA to no longer allow men to compete in women's sports. And I think the president, with the signing of his pen, starts a very public pressure campaign on these organizations to do the right thing for women and for girls across the country. Again, this is an incredibly popular position. There have been many notable female athletes who have had the courage to speak out against some very powerful institutions in this country. They deserve to have a voice and a say. The president is bringing their voice to the highest level at the White House this afternoon, and he expects these organizations to comply with this federal executive order that he'll be signing today.
Thank you. And one more. On media coverage of this executive order and the topic in general, what's the White House's view of framing that calls men transgender females or similar rhetoric coming from organizations like the ACLU and GLAAD?
Well, it's been very clear. The policy of this administration is that there are only two sexes and female. Pretty simple. Brian Glenn.
Yes. USAID has gotten a lot of attention the last couple of days with some of these bizarre.
You know the weird thing about this, guys. There's a weird thing here. The whole push to say like transgender men are specifically the same as men. Isn't that like kind of a weird way of saying them saying themselves that it's an embarrassing thing to say? You see what I'm saying? I don't know if I don't know if I'm saying that, like, I don't know if I'm conveying what I'm thinking. It seems weird that like it's like they're saying that like it's a bad thing, which is what they're saying it's not. Rephrase. How do I rephrase it? It's like by them saying that it's a bad thing to call a person transgender man or transgender woman. They're basically saying that like that phrase of itself is an insult. Do you see what I mean? That the categorization of itself is an insult.
Things that we've been taxpayers have been funding
because it's just factually correct, right? If a person is like if a person is biologically like a male and then they transition to like becoming then they're a transgender woman. It's just by definition. And the whole like removing the categorization, which makes it easier for some, for categorizational reasons, them making the distinction, saying that the distinction is not allowed, is them saying that it's not good, basically. That's what I'm trying to say.
Now it looks like there are a couple media outlets that have been dragged into this conversation as far as USAID funding as well. Does the president have any comment on that?
So upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than $8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The Doge team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole...
Keeping the translator but keeps the separation from the ideal itself. I mean, but it's like the same thing with like, if you're a person who is like disabled, right? You're just like, I'm a disabled person. And it's like, is that like a bad thing? It's like, it's a distinction that has like societal ramifications, right? Physical ones.
Of government effort to ensure we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books. And this president and his team are making decisions across the board on, do these receipts serve the interests of the American people? Is this a good use of...
In a way, yeah, but a disabled person who can pass as a non-disabled person might want to be not be known as a disabled person. Well, I mean, I guess unless it was a case in which, except in a case in which it would, in the case that it would project on impose on society. Because the same thing can happen with trans people as well. There could be trans people that just they don't want to be known as that. They just don't talk about it until the point that they have to impose on society. It's the same thing with a disabled person, right? We're like, oh well, I can't go up the stairs. Well, okay, you can use the special disabled area that we have, like for instance on like a roller coaster or something like that, right? Like you would go up there and be like, oh, sorry, there's like stairs here. And oh, it's okay. We'll let you through. Like we have a special entrance for that, that you don't have to go through like the big line and stuff like that. You would impose on society in that way. Right. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. We should, again, it's like I said before, we should try to be, what's the word? Compassionate. But then the people who are receiving the compassion should also understand the imposition on society. That's what I mean. Should be have some understanding of that as well. It goes both ways, in my opinion.
The American taxpayers' money. If it is not, that funding will no longer be sent abroad, and American taxpayers will see significant savings because of that effort. Thank you. I'd like to give some love to the back row. I've heard that unfortunately they haven't been called on in years past. So Reagan, why don't you go ahead?
The WHC announced that comedian Amber Ruffin, who has called the president a toddler with the pants pulled down, will be the entertainment for this year's Correspondents' Dinner. Does the White House have a reaction to this choice, and will the president be attending the dinner this year?
Certainly an interesting...
Isn't the White House Correspondents' Dinner just like, isn't that like basically like a media circle jerk? Isn't that like the mainstream media circle jerk? Am I wrong?
I have the president's invitation on my desk. I have the invitation for myself on my desk as well. Haven't talked to the president about it. When he makes his decision, I will let you all know. But definitely an interesting choice of the comedian. I'll talk to the boss about it and see what we decide. Sure, go ahead. Yes.
On the executive order set to be signed today, you said that this will be enforced. Can you spell out for schools and the public how exactly the administration's plan?
You know what we should do, guys? I don't know if we're allowed to. I'd have to see how old it is and how much people care about copyright and stuff like that. But we should look at the roast of Donald Trump. Freaking old video. Comedy Central roast of Donald Trump.
President Trump, and then he gets to roast them.
I think kids have already been exposed to discrimination, especially young women and girls who have been forced to shower in locker rooms with biological men, who have been forced to compete on playing fields with biological men, which is incredibly unfair and unsafe, and again, an incredibly unpopular policy with the American people. As for the actions that this executive order takes, I already laid those out at the beginning of the briefing. I'm happy to give you a copy of this fact sheet so you can let your audiences across the country know.
You know what I feel like, dude? I feel like if this thing keeps going, there's just going to be a full scorched earth of yeah, you know what? No women's sports. No, all co-ed. All co-ed.
Who don't comply with it.
We'll see how you handle it.
They should, because it's going to be federal law in about an hour and a half. So your colleague to your right, to my
Thanks,
left.
Caroline.
Yes.
Taylor with Spectrum News. You talked a bit about Doge. Elon Musk is currently, quote...
Then we'll have real women's sports like complaining contest. We'll win that one.
Special government employee who also owns companies that have billions of dollars in federal contracts. You said earlier this week that he has abided by all applicable federal laws, but what steps is the Trump administration taking to address that conflict of interest?
The president was already asked and answered this question.
Finding lost socks contest. We got that one too. Folding the laundry contest. Got that one too. Making the baby stop crying contest.
This week, and he said if Elon Musk...
Also gymnastics. Guys lose to girls in gymnastics, especially the ones that require you to be super tiny.
Comes across a conflict of interest with the contracts and the funding that Doge is overseeing, then Elon will excuse himself from those contracts.
Gaslighting,
And he has
not taking accountability, makeup, volleyball.
It's a joke, okay, guys? It's a joke, okay? We're just joking here. We're having fun, okay? It's a joke.
Again, abided by all applicable laws. In the back left, go ahead.
It depends on gymnastic events. I mean, there's certain ones that women are better at. Which ones are those? There's certain ones, certain Olympic events that girls are better at. Lingerie football? No, that's not one. Stop it. Stop it. No lingerie football. Although we'd make tons of money. I think we might beat the real sports if we did that one.
Trade Advisor Peter Navarro, when asked about the External Revenue Service
You
today,
think
said,
you can
quote,
win
"We're gonna collect
complaining?
a lot of tariff
The national
revenues.
sport of
We're gonna get
Poland.
You know what? True, Kubak. That's true. That's true.
tax cuts out of it. Is it the official position of the White House?
Yeah, true.
That tariffs will lower taxes for Americans?
That shit's crazy.
Committed to the creation of the External Revenue Service, which I think is a phenomenal idea. We'll just go down the whole row. Go ahead.
I'm Mike from the BBC. Can you confirm?
I can confirm that the president is committed to rebuilding Gaza and to temporarily relocating those who are there because, as I've showed you repeatedly, it is a demolition site. There is no running water. There is no electricity. The president wants these individuals to live in peace. He is committed to doing that with this very bold new plan, and we will continue to keep you apprised of updates as we receive them. Ed Lawrence, go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Ed.
I appreciate it. Thank you. So now that the President Trump's policies are starting to take shape, how long will it take to cycle through and get some of the actual prices that Americans are paying to come down?
Prices at the store and at the grocery pump across the board, sure. Well, the president is doing everything he can, obviously, to reduce the cost of living crisis in this country as quickly as possible. That's why he signed a litany of executive orders across the board. In the first couple of weeks here, he declared a national energy emergency. He committed to cutting 10 regulations for every new one on the book. As you know, working for a Fox Business-related outlet, deregulation and energy independence are huge drivers of reducing inflation in this country. And I think Americans can be assured by the results President Trump had in his first term, when, again, inflation was 1.4% when he left office.
Year, and will Americans have the patience to wait for it?
I don't have a timeline.
It's a lot harder to curb that stuff rather than inflate it. If you don't inflate stuff, it's easy. You just give everyone free money, like they did in the past.
But the president is doing everything that he possibly can to reduce cost of living for Americans at home.
Is it worth risking the life of a single U.S. Marine turn the Gaza Strip Riviera of the Middle East?
Phil, I'm not sure why you're asking me that question, because I've already said the president has not committed to sending Marines or any boots on the ground in Gaza. We'll bring it to the front row. Ed O'Keefe.
To you again here in the front row, Caroline. Two things. If he scales back the education department or moves, what entity will enforce it?
As of now, this will be enforced through education, through Title IX. As if the abolishment of...
But what if they don't want to leave?
The Department of Education continues, which, as the president said yesterday, it's something his team is looking at and considering.
The U.S. doesn't have federal sales tax. No, sales tax is states.
Something he talked a lot about on the campus.
States and local, counties and stuff like that.
Then, of course, we will look at additional maneuvers to ensure that these very important policies can be...
I think, isn't it Oregon doesn't have sales tax? Fucking lucky bastards.
The education abolishment thing's still on the table. Title
The president talked about it yesterday in the Oval Office, and he has good reason to talk about it. I mean, look, our education system is failing students in this country. The Nation's report...
Wait, Texas has sales tax? Wait, Texas doesn't have sales tax? I didn't know this. Is this real? No. Texas has sales tax. There's no fucking way. There is sales tax. I know because I pay sales tax. Because I pay sales tax on the store.
I brought it up in my remarks last week.
We don't have income tax. That's the other thing. We don't have income taxes, but we have giga property tax. The property tax in Texas, like, bigger than California.
It shows that fourth graders are not reading at the level they should. I believe it was 40% of them are proficient.
But California has income tax.
As the mother of a child, I want an education system that helps my child read and write, teaches him math, nothing else in the classroom. And the president is wholeheartedly committed to we can make academia great again in this country.
One other
Deanna, go ahead.
Is property tax something you pay every year? Yes. It depends on your property value and other like certain special stuff. If your property has like a lot of buildings on it, it's like more expensive. It just depends.
Secondly, Gaza policy. Yes.
So you don't own your house then? No, you do. You just pay like property tax. Property tax is nowhere near the same price as rent, by the way, if that's what you're trying to get at. And again, we don't have any income tax to compensate for it.
Aware of this, and what was his reaction when
California has both?
Trump presented that idea?
I was I won't get ahead of the president's discussions or negotiations on your first question about what would be offered. I think the president's made it clear that he expects these nations in the region to step up and to accept Palestinian refugees who will be temporarily relocated for the rebuilding of Gaza. As for whether Prime Minister...
Wait, Texas has no property tax? No, Texas does have property tax. I know that for sure. For sure. Because we pay property tax.
Minister Netanyahu.
Although, like, it depends. Like, it depends on the property, like the price. So if it's like a residential, it's like a developed property, it costs more. But if you own like a giant piece of land where it's like mostly nature and like it's not built on, then it's significantly cheaper. So it depends on.
Was aware before the president's remarks. He was indeed. I wasn't present for that reaction. But again, this is something the president has been socializing and thinking about for quite some time. Good to see you.
Oh, Jordan.
Jordan, sorry.
Thank you, Caroline. So Secretary Hegseth announced yesterday that Army recruiting 12-year highs, 15-year highs.
Damn, really?
What is making young people want to serve the military administration? And
yo, you're telling me if I sign up for the military, I get to deport illegals? Fuck yeah! Sign me up! Is that what's happening? Bro.
Yeah.
Does DEI play President Trump's anti-DEI?
Well, first of all, the recruitment level for all branches of our military are at crisis level, and it serves as a national security.
Oh, it's bad. She's saying it's bad.
Risk that our military branches are not.
They could, hear me out, guys. Well, if they made an FPS game that was funded by the American military to get people to want to play, to join the military. They never thought of that one, did they?
Fully staffed to where they need to be. And I do believe it's a culture problem within these institutions that the president is very much committed to fixing as...
I know. I'm just memeing. I know they did that.
Emphasized by the executive orders he has signed to root DEI out of the military. And I think when...
You know what they should do? They should make an anime, like freaking Gate. Did you guys know that the anime Gate was actually like sponsored by the Japanese Defense Force? Did you guys know that? When do we get our American military anime, dude?
Young men and women who are honorably signing up to serve in our nation's military see somebody like Pete Hegseth, the new Secretary of Defense, who
Gay badass for season 2. I know, right?
His life in battle for this country, who understands what it means to deploy and to defend the Constitution and your nation abroad and to put your life on the line.
That's G.I. Joe, Leaf. There's no G.I. Joe anymore.
When they see a leader like that and a leader like President Trump who is committed to peace through strength, that's very inspiring. And we look forward to...
I don't know anything about G.I. Joe. I don't know anything about it at all.
Recruitment numbers and retention numbers skyrocketing over the next 4 years. And I know Pete Hegseth...
Dude, imagine if Goku joined the U.S. military, how many people would sign up? If like they had an episode where Goku joins the U.S. military.
Committed to...
Wow, I can't wait I can't wait to join the U.S. military, Chi-Chi. I bet there's a lot of strong people in there.
Increasing recruitment at all branches of the military. I would defer you to the Department of Defense.
What? Did you say that there's strong people there, Kakarot? I too will join the U.S. military.
Defense on exactly what he plans to implement. Jeff.
Mom, Dad, did you hear that Goku and Vegeta joined the U.S. military? I'm going to join when I grow up.
Thanks very much. One, the president yesterday used the word resettle Palestine. I hear you saying temporarily today. Is that a shift or a change?
Oh my God. I thought in my head of like Frieza. Frieza's like, yes, And I see there are a lot of...
My second question is, yesterday he spoke about the U.S. owning. Who owns Gaza now, and how would the U.S.
Well, Gaza is currently run by Iranian-backed terrorists in the Middle East, who we all agree, I think everybody in the region agrees.
Frieza's racist, okay, guys? Frieza is racist.
That can no longer stand.
That's the joke, is that Frieza is racist. Because he is racist.
Just look at the events of October 7th and the events, and the president, again, is committed to rebuilding the region for all people who want to return to it once it is no longer a demolition site, and it's a place where people can actually live and thrive in harmony, as he said last night, his words. Daniel.
Permanent versus temporarily resettle?
The president has made it clear that they need to be temporarily relocated.
Thanks for the follow, Icarus. Thank you.
The rebuilding of this effort.
My jokes can get so unhinged. I have to stop myself all the time.
Again, it's a demolition site right now. It's not a...
They're just jokes. They're just joke. It's only a joke. Why you have to be made?
Livable place for any human being. And I think it's actually quite evil to suggest that people should live in such dire conditions. Daniel.
The daily guidance says the president will be meeting with pair governors today. Governor Newsom of California.
It's only a joke.
President's executive
Why you
action
have
to
to be made?
Yes.
In California, billions of gallons are flowing out. What can you tell us about the two meetings and the importance of President Trump's actions to help people?
Sure. Those meetings will be taking place shortly, so I will get out of here to get to those meetings.
I would be so mad, Maradine, if that happened. I would actually be really fucking pissed if, like, let's just assume that the plan went through and that America did fix up Gaza and, like, everyone in Gaza was, like, happy now, and then, like, the terrorists were gone and it was all nice and it was, like, economically developing, and then Israel, like, swooped in, like, actually, we kind of want it again. I'd be like, dude, get the fuck out of here!
We can always provide you a readout, as we always do. We try to be very transparent about what the president is doing in the Oval Office. Perhaps he'll even call you in to join him. We never know around here, as you all know. But Governor Abbott is obviously a great friend and an ally to the president. He has been on the front line.
I would be so fucking mad if that happened. I would actually get mad, like, for real. And I will be the first to bitch about it. If you want to see some Trump criticism, if that happens, you're going to see me get fucking furious. If that happens.
Signs of the border crisis in this country. And as for Governor Gavin Newsom, well, the president is willing to work with anybody from blue states or red states to do what's best for the American people. And the president really enjoyed his trip to Pacific Palisades last week. He felt very inspired by the frustration of the residents there. And he has been wholeheartedly committed to ensuring that the water is flowing in California to prevent these wildfires, and also that people have access to their properties. And he has continued to apply tremendous pressure to Gavin Newsom and also the Los Angeles mayor to allow private residents and property owners to access their property. He believes that's their right to do so, and they should be able to do it. And one more thing before I wrap up, because I do want to get to these meetings and I will see you all at the EO signing later this afternoon. I would just say that you brought to mind California and North Carolina, who continue to be on our hearts, and the president and this administration are committed to ensuring that these individuals get the funding that they need. And I would just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats
They're
are
wasting our
that
money.
The American people want to be...
We already knew that though, right,
They
guys?
want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this. But then they're very quiet about the fact that there are still North Carolinians and people in California who have lost everything, and in the last 4 years, this federal government did nothing to help them. This president will continue to put Americans first, and I think
God bless.
The successes of this week so far speak to that, and it's only when...
Please, I just want the American government to be for the American people again. It just feels like we just keep getting cucked, And I'm not into that.
Wednesday. So I'll see you guys later this week, and we'll see you this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Yo, what if that's just the thing? What if that's just what the Democrats like? What if they like getting cooked? What if that's like the whole thing? Is that it? Is that the whole thing? Maybe the rhinos, like the neocons and the liberals, the liberal Democrats, they just like being cooked. And like we're just riding along with their sick game. Am I onto something, guys? Am I? That was it. Okay. That was straight from the White House. Here's the link.